Hello, this is Kat, and this is Susan. Today we're going to talk about the Department of Homeland Security and their proposed changes to the collection of biometric data, including DNA and information from some U.S. citizens. Now, Susan is the one here. She's our scholar. She is the one who's researched all of this. And I figured she could basically lead us in understanding what's being proposed and what currently exists.
Right.
So,
and as we're talking about this today, I want us to keep in mind the thought, how much power should any federal agency be able to take to itself without a law that legislative process that allows it to expand that power.
Right, because we need Congress to establish new legislation, new laws.
Right, and so federal agencies, sure, they have some latitude to adjust their processes, right? And the way they do things, but how much should they be able to increase their power, especially when it affects us?
Right.
Without that law. Because
the way I see it is the more power we give to our government, the less liberty we have. There's an exchange there.
Yeah,
and so the balance there is where we need to stay. We need to stay balanced.
Yeah, and I think we all have to keep that in mind for ourselves. Where do we think the balance should be?
Right.
Yeah.
So what are the existing biometric databases that legislation has put into place over the years?
Wow, there was more than I thought.
Yeah.
So, DHS there's three main ones. Their old system, the IDENT, which is being transitioned over to a newer system called HART, which, interestingly, they're going to put all the data on a cloud server, which, maybe
they can be secure, but...
Yeah, maybe it's secure. It's going to be an Amazon one, from what I understand. Amazon systems. Yeah, anyway, that's interesting. Yeah. And then they have, ICE has one that is called EID. And then the Department of Justice has a couple. The FBI run the NGI and the CODIS.
Right.
And then
I've heard of CODIS.
Yeah.
That's the only one I've heard of.
Yeah, I know. And then the Department of Defense has one. And it's called, I gotta scroll up a little further for that one. It's called ABIS. Okay. And a lot of these databases...
It sounds like a disease.
A lot of these databases do kind of work with each other.
Right.
They have interoperability so that the different agencies can kind of work back and forth on that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what biometric data does DHS currently collect within these databases?
Yeah, I was really interested to think about that because it doesn't impact most of us a lot of the time, right? We're not, you might have to go take your picture when you get your driver's license.
Right.
And maybe take fingerprints, like if you have to volunteer at the schools or something. But otherwise, we don't run into it a whole lot. But there's a lot of people that are affected by it. And so one thing to know is that DHS recently made other new rule changes affecting the collection of biometric data. And those are about to go into effect on December 26th. So before that, what was allowed was they were allowed to collect, fingerprints, pictures, things like that, from individuals who are applying for certain, they call it immigration benefits. That doesn't mean like food stamps
or health benefits,
that's
health
not
insurance,
what it means.
Right?
It means for a certain status, a certain immigration status.
Yes.
But the way that they word it in the statute is immigration benefit, but it's a status, like permanent residency or a green card.
Right.
And so they would be allowed to collect biometric data at certain specific ports of entry and airports.
Right.
But there were pilot programs, so it wasn't everywhere. It was just at certain specific locations. And then they could collect biometric data from any foreigner that was encountered by law enforcement or other DHS officials, like if they were getting arrested. But the new rules impact is going to basically let them collect biometric data at any entry and exit point nationwide. It's going to basically expand the authority to collect data, so not just pictures, not just fingerprints, but other biometric identifiers. And if you look at the language of the proposed rule change, it can include all the way up to DNA.
Oh, okay.
Retina prints, voice
Right.
print, DNA, all that.
Okay.
So it's much more extensive. And then there was some exemptions before, they wouldn't collect it on anyone who was younger than 14.
Okay, right.
Or people who were over 79, or green card holders, or if you were here on a tourist visa.
Okay.
But the new rule changes all of that. So now they can collect biometric data on anyone coming in or going out of the United States at any time, any age, even if you have a green card, even if you're on a tourist visa. They can require that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
And that goes
Big brother.
into effect on December 26th. That's not even the newest proposed rule changes.
Okay.
That's already gone. That's already done.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what are the reasons that they currently collect this biometric information?
Yeah. I mean, we know not what they can do, but why, right?
Yeah.
So
I want to know
basically,
why.
of course, to establish somebody's identity, right?
Right.
Or their eligibility to have a certain status of immigration status.
Right.
For adjudication or enforcement, so like for court reasons or for law enforcement reasons, that makes sense.
Yeah.
For background checks for any foreigner who is wanting to have protection from being deported.
Okay.
So they do that. And they're also authorized to collect biometric data on U.S. citizens, U.S. nationals, and lawful permanent residents who want to bring in a family member, or petitioning to bring in a family member, or a fiance, a husband or a wife, to determine if that person has been convicted of a crime.
Okay.
So even if you're a U.S. citizen, if you're trying to bring someone in, they can collect your biometric data up to DNA and to make sure you haven't committed a crime. So, and also basically for basic public safety, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that would cover public safety.
Yeah.
As far as having committed crimes, because I'm all for catching people who commit crimes.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, a lot of this makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah, and the national security vetting and whatnot is a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure if it's such a great idea to collect all of that biometric data, because it can be used in so many other ways.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
But yeah, and they can store it and keep it for like 75 years or something like that.
75 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
To verify your identity in any future encounter with DHS, travel, an arrest, to initiate your removal from the country. So
by ICE.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the new rules?
The new
specifically
rules.
The new rules, not the ones that
they're proposing.
What are those?
And if you don't like it, you have until January 2nd to write a public comment.
Okay.
And we'll include the link to where you go for that.
Okay.
But so the primary purpose of this proposed rule, they're saying, is to flip the current construct from one where biometrics may be collected on past practices to a system under which biometrics are required for anything unless they're determined unnecessary. So basically it's like we're just always going to take them unless there's some very strange exception. That's what they want to do. So they're gonna, what they can take, a facial scan, signature, fingerprints, eye scan, voice scan, and DNA. They could take any of those under the proposed expanded rules. And I don't think some of that's a bad idea. I mean, I wouldn't really mind doing take my picture, fine, take my fingerprints, maybe even a voice scan or maybe an eye scan, but do they really need our DNA? I don't know.
No, because I see that requiring DNA, I see that as like there are DNA markers for cancer, for diseases.
Yeah.
DNA can expose whether or not you're autistic, and there's a big movement against autistic children, autistic people, when I believe autistic people have superpowers in many areas, and those DNA markers could be used against those people.
Yeah,
it could be a way of like when Nazis did the same or something similar, where you have a badge that shows you're a Jew, Well, this is a badge that shows your DNA markers, which could be used in very, very bad ways. I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, all of this makes a certain amount of sense as far as law enforcement and making sure we keep safe. But then it's like it can be properly misused and
easily.
We'll talk about that. But that's something to keep in mind as we go through this. Scroll up just a little bit. So it says one other thing in the proposed rule changes is even if they've taken your biometric data, they can require you to have it taken again as many times as they want, even if they already have it. They can just make you come in, make another appointment, and take more biometric data. That's one of the proposed changes.
That just seems harassing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't really know why you have to keep taking it. I mean, they know who you are now, so why do they have to have that in the rule? Anyway,
right, yeah,
and then
crazy.
Even if the immigrant has acquired citizenship or some other permanent status, even if they're a U.S. citizen, if any previous request or collection of information in the past is reopened or is relevant to any request or collection of information currently pending with DHS, they can require you to come in again and take your biometric data again, even if you're a citizen. So that was interesting, a little rule change, I thought.
Right.
And again, the children now be required. So even if it's an infant, they'll still take the biometric data. They're going to take biometric data on not just when you come in, but on immigrants who are being deported. They'll also take it on the way out.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying there's sometimes going to require collection of DNA to determine your biological sex. Yeah, I don't know.
And that just reinforces their whole agenda on the executive order that there were only two sexes, which is scientifically incorrect and inaccurate and not factual.
Well, and it can be used to harass trans
people, yes.
But I don't know. I mean, they're saying it's to determine if you're eligible for certain programs or benefits, but I'm trying to think of one where you would really need to know someone's biological sex other than maybe if they were trying to apply under the Violence Against Women Act.
But I mean, it's just like they're saying that Trump is sending troops into the cities to protect national interests and national buildings and, federal buildings and whatnot, when in all actuality, it's different.
Well, and I think
what they're saying is different than what factually is happening.
And I think that's why some people have trouble with this, because we don't trust the motive behind it anymore of this administration. Yeah, and so what might seem like logical or reasonable, people still don't trust it because they're like, what's the real motive?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It seems like they're trying to set up databases in order to later determine what people, what section of people or what group of people qualify for elimination. I mean,
well, that's what people get afraid of.
Right, because you look at the concentration camps.
Because of all the rhetoric against certain types of people, right?
Yes.
And so, of course, everyone's getting very worried when they start doing this type of marketing.
I know I'm taking it to an extreme.
Right, but you have to kind of think about it when you see all that rhetoric.
There are parallels.
Yeah, and you see the rhetoric. If they weren't doing the rhetoric, then people probably wouldn't be as afraid of it, but they are. So, yeah. And then they're also, I found this wording kind of concerning. DHS also plans to implement a program of continuous immigration vetting and require that aliens receive continued and subsequent evaluation to ensure they continue to present no risks to national security or public safety after they enter. So it's like, what does continuous immigration vetting mean? That there's this constantly going to keep tabs on you?
Yeah.
How? That's concerning, right? I don't know what that really means. And then it says that they also, of course, propose to require biometrics from U.S. citizens, U.S. nationals, lawful permanent residents that are associated with any type of immigrant who wants to get brought in. And then it says it'll continue its existing practices, but with anyone who's related to an EB5 regional center, a new commercial enterprise, or a job-creating entity, then they could also be required to give biometric data. So,
okay.
So DHS is also proposing much stricter rules around the appointments to collect the biometric data. So they used to give you some latitude for rescheduling, but now they're saying you can reschedule one time. That's it. Otherwise, penalties, right?
Okay.
And
what are those penalties?
Good question. We don't know.
They're going to get whippings? I mean,
you're out. You're
come
in detention.
We're going to strike that whip and give you 10 lashes.
Straight to detention. I don't know, but yeah. But I thought it was also interesting. They're saying they want to propose abolishing previous statutes regarding who can conduct an interview and who has jurisdiction over an interview. So that seems to mean that they want to be able to assign the interviews to whoever,
like the ICE agents themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're not even believing when people give them their ID, their real ID or their driver's license. Oh, that's fake. We're still going to detain you.
So
that's
just a lot of expansion of power, without much in the way of legislation or thought through process, or
like controls over those powers. Yeah,
and oversight is being reduced.
Yeah.
So it's worrisome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know, and I see that there are some good reasons.
Yeah.
To put the biometric controls into place, to put the biometric data collection into place.
Yeah.
So let's go over what some of the good ones are, the pros, the cons.
Right.
Let's really be specific and break it down.
Right. So of course, to fight crime, right? We don't want criminals running around.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a good thing because it'll make it easier to catch those people. And of course, to prevent sex trafficking and child sex trafficking is a big one because you don't want people to be able to bring them into the country, and that's a good reason to collect biometric data on children.
Yeah.
So
it is
to help reduce inefficiency and make information sharing more effective. Right. I mean, we all know that the law enforcement got more effective when they started sharing data.
Yes.
So that's a good reason to do it. So, but we also have some concerns.
So what are the concerns that you've researched? What comes up?
We've talked about some of them, but one is the erosion of anonymity.
Yes.
I liked the way that was put.
Yes.
And why would you need anonymity? Well, what if you wanted to have political dissent? If you don't like what the government is doing.
Like what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. You'd kind of want some ability to be anonymous that way, right? Especially if the government got so authoritarian that it was punishing people for that.
Yeah.
Right? And then all of a sudden you can't be anonymous anymore. Or journalism.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They need their sources and all that. Another big one is loss of control. Your biometric data, it's part of your identity. Once it's collected, you might lose control over any use of it. How it's edited, how it's deleted, anything.
How you're added to a database.
Yeah.
Of non-desirables.
Yeah.
You're not Aryan.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we already have some loss of control in that area, but they want to make it even worse.
Yeah.
Inaccurate technology.
Yeah.
Right? We've already had some problems with that, I've heard, where they pick up the wrong person and he's like, this is not me, and it takes a while to figure that out. Data breaches. They're going to be putting it all on a cloud server, and somebody could steal it. Foreign
identity
country
theft.
could steal it.
Theft.
Total identity theft. And you can't change it, right? You can't change your biometric data like you do a password. If your password gets stolen, you change it. Well, you can't change your biometric data, so unless you have surgery. So then you have permanent risks of identity theft, stalking, or harassment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which could be a big issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mission creep. So if the data is collected for one purpose and then they start using it for more and more things, that's what everyone is concerned about right now. They don't trust what the government is going to do with it.
Well, I mean, they've already talked about setting up a database of autistic children.
Yeah, and that
based on their medical records, like medical records being requested by JFK. It's like
why? This is not good.
Why?
Yeah, exactly. And just
they're acting as if autism is this big horrible thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's like Yeah, just that who knows what it's going to get used for. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the vulnerability, just that it can be used by unauthorized parties, improperly shared. Right now, we had data privacy laws surrounding our data, like our Social Security data.
Yeah.
And those got bypassed. And now that data has been shared amongst the different government agencies and consolidated. So that's already been breached, the laws, and we didn't have any input on that as citizens.
Yeah.
As we would in a legislative process.
Right.
The agencies just decided this is what we're going to do. They took that authority on themselves. So, yeah, it's worrying.
Yeah.
Increased surveillance. Do we want to really become even more Big Brother than we already are?
This reminded me of, I thought of these futuristic movies you sometimes see where there's this surveillance security guy in some dark office, dark room with screens everywhere that, it's his biometric scanner scanning faces in an airport, it's creepy and scary.
China already does that.
Yeah.
Don't they have that social desirability score or whatever, and they have cameras everywhere, and do we really want to go there? And then just invasive technology, right? So, and then if they've already got your digital scan, they know exactly who you are, they know exactly where you are. Do you really want that? That's something
when
to
we
think
haven't
about.
consented to it.
Yeah, that's really something to think about.
So how does this relate to the SAVE program?
Yeah, and what is the SAVE program?
What is the SAVE program?
So the SAVE program is the Systematic Alien Verification for Entitlements program. So it got started in, I think, 1986. So it's been around for a while, but their government right now is trying to expand it. And it's a service that's run by USCIS, and it allows states and things to verify immigration status and U.S. citizenship of people who are applying for government benefits and licenses.
Okay.
It's fee-based. It's intergovernmental. And so, it was 1987 it was created. So
who all uses that?
Well, right now, any government agency can use it.
So federal, state?
Federal, state, territorial, tribal, even local agencies.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And so they recently announced, DHS said that states can use it to verify citizenship of voters using the last 4 digits of their social security numbers, because they used to have to use a full social security number. They couldn't do bulk searches. Now they can do bulk searches, and they can use either the full or partial social security number as of November. And now the SAVE system includes records from the USCIS's biometric systems, according to a new notice. So the biometric data is in there. So that's how it relates.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what arguments does DHS use in order to implement
the
all of
expanded
this?
authority?
Yeah, the expanded authority.
Yeah. Well, first of all, they say, okay, we've gotten guidance from the executive branch to take these actions. So that's one authority that they're giving. Okay. They're giving the idea that the existing statutes do not say we can't expand our biometric data collection, even if it says, okay, you'll collect it here, here, and here. And in this circumstance, it doesn't say we can't expand it. So the minimum, it prescribes the minimum, but they're saying that they couldn't expand it past that. Okay.
Okay.
And then let's scroll a little further along. It says that they're making the argument that congressional requirements about certain biometric collection doesn't limit them, again, their broad authority to collect additional biometrics. So they're basically saying their authority is outside of the congressional limits that Congress has placed on it. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if it is or not, but it's something to think about, right?
Yeah.
And then they're also saying for national security and public safety reasons, we should be able to have this expanded authority.
Right. Well, isn't that the reason they put the Patriot Act into place too?
Yeah, it was. And that's one of the things they cite is an authority.
Okay.
So
Right.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's all something to think about. So let's go a little further down here. Yeah, exactly. So it kind of reflects on we as a people, right? We have to think about who do we want ultimately to have the power or over some of these authorities, right?
Yeah.
Because they affect us.
They do.
They really do. And do we want them to require them to have to go through that legislative process with people that we can elect and we can vote out?
Yeah.
Or do we just want to leave it with a federal agency, even if it's under a president who we can elect and not elect? But even if we get a different president in there, the agency would still have those statutes set and those processes put into place, right? And it would take a while to change all of that. So it's like, who do we really want to have the control? It's something
Again,
to
it's
keep
just
in
still
mind.
a balance, you know?
Yeah.
I think that the more power we give without the legislative process, the less liberties we actually have.
Yeah.
I personally think that there needs to be some legislation put into place.
Yeah. And there is some, but do we think there should be updated legislation for the expanded power?
Right. That's what I'm referring to. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think?
Yeah.
Please let us know in the comments below.
I'm curious to know what people think.
Yeah. I mean, is there something else that you would like us to cover as well in a future episode? Also, let us know.
Check out our Facebook and our Blue Sky to keep informed and get updates on what's going on.
Go to our Substack to get more detailed information on what we talk about in our videos and to see our publications.
Press the like button, hit subscribe to help get the word out.
And welcome to the conversation.